A 12-year-old was raped the other day. A 10-year-old someone attempted to kidnap a 10-year-old. This is what these so-called migrants are doing, right? These illegals that shouldn't be in the country in the first place. It's monstrous, and they should all be gone.
Instead of battles involving guns and wars and set battlefields, what you have is cultural battles. I think this is how history will look at all this stuff. It will go the Battle of Southport, where the government won because they just locked up anyone who disagreed with them. Then you've got the Battle of Epping, and now you're getting the Battle of Canary Wharf. In the end, you'll get the battle for Britain. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fox and Father, with me, the Fox, and him, the
Father.
It's a show where Calvin tries to tutor me in the ways of righteousness and has failed. Now, over the period of... Well, I'm not righteous, am I?
You're full of righteous indignation. I wish more people were full of righteous indignation.
I don't feel that indignant at the moment. I feel really happy about the standing outside the migrant hotels and all the ladies going, nah, get out. But that's me. Anyway, before we get into the serious stuff, how are you, my dear friend?
I'm very well. I'm good. The weather is lovely here in the Midwest. I spent last night watching your wedding videos.
Oh man, yeah,
they are so good. They're so well made. It's beautiful. I think that first one you should release, like the 10-minute one. You should not the whole thing, but just that. Watching the ceremony back again was great, but the speeches as well, they're fantastic. I mean, you're actually a decent writer. You know that, right? Your speech was great.
You're so kind. Thank you, Calvin.
You had sound hymns. It was a beautiful service. It did make me think the next wedding I do, I'm going to tell people to put their blooming phones away. People standing, it's being professionally filmed. You don't need
filming their wedding with their own phones?
Sorry?
Filming the wedding with their own phones,
yes.
You mean? Yeah.
People with their own phones. You don't need your phones out. But the speeches were great, and it just made me realize how much I miss you guys. It really did. It was beautiful.
Well, we're just one flight away to Skiathos, Calvin. You do. You're so right, though, about it's so funny, the phone thing, because part of, I had a little disagreement with one of the kids this week about phones, and I was just like, God, we never had to deal with this as a problem. But, at the same time, it's how one deals with kids and phones. I mean, ultimately, they're a quite useful sanction.
Yeah.
You know how I deal with phones in the past. I'm a Kirsty Allsop of the phone world. And I don't regret at all being the Kirsty Allsop of the phone world. Why do you think it is in human nature, before you ask me how I am, what is it about human nature that seeks to record something that they can watch live?
It is a good sentiment. It's that I think this is a special moment. I want to capture it. But we've got to trust our own brains and live in the moment. And especially if something is being professionally filmed, you don't need to capture it. Just be present. I don't mind if people take a quick sneaky snap, but people who stand there with their phones out, it's like you're observing the world through a screen. So there's a barrier between you and whatever it is that's happening. It's not healthy. It's not good. So for the ceremony and for the speeches, people were like this. And all you can see on camera is people with their phones. I don't know. It takes something away from it.
I know, but it's the same with tragedy. Yeah. So we've talked about it before, snuff movies that used to get passed around. I think it was called Faces of Death, the snuff movie that was predominant in my childhood, which was the odd execution of somebody in grainy footage. And now it's just like snuff movie central everywhere. So it works for celebrations of joy that you want to, meld into your own head and melt into your own head, and celebrations of sadness. And at the end of the day, I'm very grateful for the phone on lots of levels. I'm grateful for technology because it gets us to talk to each other across the Atlantic, and people we're still able to communicate. But on another level, I think one's got to have some boundaries with it. And
I've never understood the morbidity. I remember when I was a teenager. Obviously, the internet had only just come out, right? But people were sending around these snuff things. I just never, ever wanted... I can't. I don't want to see it. And it's like when you're driving past an accident, people slow down to look. I've never been interested to have a look and see what's going on. I think
it's human nature. You can't prevent rubbernecking.
You can't. I've never had that.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter whether you have it or not. A lot of other people do. I completely understand rubbernecking, because rubbernecking is going, thank God that's not me. So it's a reminder that something dreadful has just happened to somebody else, and thank God it's not me. That I completely get rubbernecking, and I've got a horrible confession to make about rubbernecking as well.
Well, it's good reminders to do a sign of the cross and kind of thank God for your blessings. I like that angle. That's good.
I have a confession to make. I just did my sign of the cross the wrong way around. I have a confession to make on rubbernecking.
Yeah.
So once I went to France and with young kids and my former spouse, and we were driving through France, and a friend who was sort of half nannying, half friending, their dad had died in a car accident, and she was in the car at the time. And we drove past a really bad car accident, and I stopped and I rubbernecked. So I completely forgot someone who I knew everything about her life, everything about her history. It completely was removed from my understanding as I drove past this accident like that. And I just thought it must be part of our nature.
So wait, are you saying that they were with you in the car at the time, or that you saw their accident?
They were with me in the car at the time as we went past a new accident, which was, not a nice accident, but it wasn't, sort of bits of human everywhere. But it just made me think. And it was one of the not often times that I connected with the former spouse at that period of our marriage, and she elbowed me, and I was like, oh yeah, God, wake up. So I understand rubbernecking. We've got off to a funny start.
We did. How are you?
Okay, there we are. I'm all right. I have had, I'm preparing. The great preparation for Skiathos is underway. The Primani shops have been made. I got my son back. There's so many things I want to tell that my son has been talking to me about, but it's just, obviously it's private and I can't, but it is just hilarious.
Yeah.
Speaking to young people, because
he's a funny kid.
He's so funny. And also he quite likes hanging out with the older guys, so I took him out to lunch today to the pub because I couldn't be bothered to cook him some food. And Lizzie's gone off to have, buy her own stuff for the holiday because she's finally got a sort of 3-hour window where no one's requiring anything from her. And he just made me howl with laughter for the entire day, literally. And he was so good at picking up all of the things that that people don't pick up. Young people pick up. But I wish I could talk about them, but I'm not going to because it's a betrayal of his confidence. So very happy to see him. Very happy to be heading towards a holiday in anticipation of a pretty heavy September, October, November. And, feeling good. I'm training tomorrow morning. I'm going to go and see Tommy tomorrow. So we should get onto that. And I'm really chuffed for him too. Because, Tommy, I know Tommy. Everyone has a view on Tommy, which is good and bad. But I knew the minute I saw what the pigs had put out, I knew that it was not going to be favorable to them in the same way as you know from experience when you watch footage of the Manchester Airport guys or whatever, that whatever piece of footage they put out is the best that they've got to support their lying narrative, and there was a few, I'm not going to lie, there was a few tense phone calls over the weekend, straight after, not over the weekend, but over the beginning of the week, of going, oh man, they're going to really do him. Someone's going to lose some CCTV footage. But I spoke to him this morning and he just went, I'm so happy. I've seen the CCTV footage. Everything's going to be fine. Thanks for checking in. So I'm going to go down and speak to him again and try and, sort of the extension of the conversation that we had last week, which is to go, what is it that we can do? Rather than just go, oh God, it's terrible. What is it that we can do? So, and it's interesting again, listening to people and what their views are on people they've never met and all of that sort of stuff. So that makes me happy. So I'm pretty good. And I'm looking forward to going and playing pool with Eugene and his new best friend, Roger.
Cool.
So that's that.
Well, let's segue onto Tommy then, because in fact, we should probably play the footage for people that haven't seen it. But
what footage are we playing? Show me which bit we're playing. The end of the fight.
Yeah. So they released Tommy hovering around, some chap on the floor, and some civilian nearby saying things. So there was no action in it, but you could see that clearly there'd been an altercation, and it looks like. And you speculated last week that this was probably, was it you? It may have been done. But what have you speculated last week that this may have been a setup to stop the September the 13th event?
Yeah. I reckon everything's a setup to stop the September the 13th event. I have to say, I think people are absolutely done.
Yeah.
I know that, I don't really want to back and forth with you over, yours is a more cautious, long-term approach. Mine is more of a what's febrile. It's more actory.
Yeah, it's fine. I'd be there on September the 13th myself. I'm obviously not local. I can't afford to go back and forth all the time. But if I still lived in London, I'd be there. Absolutely, I'd be on the stage.
I think people are. I think people are done. I really do. I think the spontaneous protests outside the hotels. I don't think there's careful organisation behind that. I think that's local Facebook groups going.
Yeah, tensions are building up.
But I think they're done. So I think
that footage you shared, by the way, that was my hometown, Mansfield. Yeah, people were still outside Mansfield.
Thank you, Mansfield. Thank you. Yeah. I saw your tweet in response. I think it's that people are done. I genuinely think people are done. And I think that these protests are such a wonderful example of civil disobedience because you can't move the migrants around forever, right? You let 600 of them in every day. That's on you. We never asked for it. You try and move them around hotels in the United Kingdom without people finding out, without citizen journalists finding out, you're going to lose. You are going to find, and I encourage everybody to peacefully assemble outside these hotels and make sure that they get moved. Put the government and your wasted taxpayer money to having them try and move these people around because 600 arrive every day sometimes. And it's to me, it's the most effective piece of civil disobedience. And it doesn't have someone like Tommy or you or me or Carl or, Farage, trans Farage there. You've just got people going, I don't want my daughter getting sexually assaulted by a man who doesn't understand the sexual norms of this society. Thank you very much. Who's unvetted and has been given a load of money and can just do nothing with his life except stand outside my daughter's school. I don't like it. And they're fed up. And once the ordinary people are fed up, I'm thrilled because I think the times, as Bob Dylan says, are changing.
It's good that ordinary people are fed up, but what next?
I think it's...
So they don't have guns.
What do you think? Yeah, but okay, drop the guns stuff for a minute. Let me offer you... I don't think we've ever actually done this properly, so let me just do it properly. Mm-hmm. Okay, we are facing demographic oblivion, right?
We know the problem.
Yeah, but I'm saying in a way that nobody has ever experienced ever before. And a friend of mine came around the other day to the house and he said, it's so ironic that you live near Colchester. And I went, why? And he went, Boadicea or Boudica, depending on, whether you're middle class or Iceni tribe. The last time Britain had a proper revolt was when an invading force came into where what would be called Mercia, I suppose. I mean, please correct me in the comments of my useless history. And beat up and gang raped Boudica's daughters, right? And she summoned all the tribes to expel the invading force of child rapists. And I just thought, isn't it interesting that, we live here. I am so optimistic that we are going to have to, it's going to become, the most important thing is it's going to become practical that we have to repel the Muslim invaders. We have to do it, the Islamic invaders. It's practical, because otherwise you're going to move them around hotels and we're just going to follow them around. People are going to follow them around. They're sick to death of having their children raped by these people. So it's practical and it's essential. Therefore, it's going to become policy. And actually, Kemi Badenoch and the Conservatives, as terrible as they've been 14 years, are the only party that's actually talking about doing it properly.
Okay.
Okay, you're not happy.
Okay, so the first bit is just spiel. Yeah. Okay, so the last time it happened, the tribes got together and they literally fought them off, which goes back to my question of what do we do? We understand the problem. We can highlight the problem all day, every day, but what do we do about it? The people do not have guns. The people have no arms. The people have no way of defending themselves or pushing off an aggressor. If the solution is relying on public policy from legislators who implemented this problem in the first place, which is the Conservative Party,
I know,
then we're done.
No,
Kemi Badenoch has just selected Henry Newman as her chief of staff.
Yeah. No, I got it. I know.
But you say you know all this, and then you go and say, "Oh, well, the Conservative Party are the only party that can do it."
But they're the only one. Listen, what do we have? Like 8 or 9 parties on the right that go, "I'll do this," and then you've got Trans Reform UK and Caliphate UK, and then Ben Habib starts to have another party. I've got a party. Everyone's got a party. Or does the fury of the people, which is there, you can see it and you can feel it. Does the fury of the people need a home? And that home, I'm not saying Kemi Badenoch is the person that's going to lead us out of this mess. I'm just saying there is a political party that has existed with Thatcher and Churchill for all of those years to destroy these bastards. And you're now going to go into something about Churchill and Zionism. I'm double guessing.
I'm really not, because it's irrelevant. Okay. The Conservative Party are the ones that created this mess that we are now only just recognizing.
No, Tony Blair was the one that created this mess. Don't blame the Tories. The Tories just sucked the nipple that Tony Blair offered out to them, because Tony Blair did it for ideological reasons. Tony
Blair set this all off.
But the Boris wave was for GDP, not GDP per capita.
Doesn't matter. The Boris wave was like what? How many times worse than anything that Labour ever did?
I agree. They're appalling scum, all of them.
Exactly. They're all rubbish. They all need to dug up. We're beyond the point of, okay, let's vote for the other party, they'll fix it. No, let's vote for the other one, they'll fix it. We're beyond all of that.
I wouldn't vote for any of the parties. I wouldn't vote for any of the parties. Like, I wouldn't vote for Reform. I wouldn't vote for the Conservatives. I wouldn't vote for Labour. I wouldn't vote, full stop. I'd just go Peasants' Revolt. Please,
which brings back to what do we do?
Peasants' Revolt.
In what way? What does that mean?
Every single town where there is a migrant hotel, get your friends, form your Facebook groups, get outside that hotel, force the police to move them on. And what you're going to end up with is a gaggle of about 5,000 to 10,000 undocumented military-age men with nowhere to go. Then what the regime do is they go, we're putting a no protest order in outside the Britannia Hotel in Canary Wharf. Then they go, where are we going to meet the next? And because people have phones, the things that we hate so much but are useful, they follow them around and they don't let them rest until they are gone.
You know what happens when that happens?
What?
They move them somewhere else. Another big fat cat, friend of the Tories, gets another £6 million to put them up in their hotels.
But they won't be, Calv, I'm sorry to be passionate about this.
You can be passionate as you like, but you're not providing any solutions at all.
What? Okay. Can you just explain to me why, if you are moving the people from Epping to Canary Wharf, right? So Epping rebelled. Peasants' Revolt.
Yep.
They moved them to Canary Wharf. Canary Wharf rebelled. They're moved from Canary Wharf. They're on the way somewhere else now.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a no protest order outside Canary Wharf. So what's happening is the Peasants' Revolt is getting stronger all the time. there is not going to be a safe hotel in this country by the end of this summer, God willing, where these people are put up. It sends the most dreadful message to the working people of this country that that you can arrive in Britain, you get given an envelope, a phone, a load
Again,
of
we
money.
know all this. We know the problem.
Yeah,
we all
but
agree on that.
I'm saying this is just give me, you have to understand that simple fact. If they're not allowed to settle anywhere, then it becomes politically essential and practical to move them out of the country.
Okay.
So it does, because where are you going to put them? On an island in Scotland, as you suggested?
Probably.
Possibly.
I don't know.
What? Where?
The boats. That was a suggestion.
Yeah, stick them on a boat, wherever.
Sure.
But just make sure, it's like the Dickens workhouse theory. It's like, just make the workhouse slightly less fun than poverty with more meals. It's not like we haven't been here before. We have been here before. I think you've got to hope that there is within the stomach of the British people a thing of saying no. And if you don't start moving these people, it's going to get worse. And then once they've done that, it's like, now you got to deport them. We want them out. And I think you have to believe that is the direction of travel. I would put my bottom dollar on it. They're going to be gone. Come September this year, these people are going to be being deported, not at labour rates of like, oh, hello, my name's Keir Starmer. Stopping the gangs has been my greatest thing since sliced bread. They're going to be thrown out. They're going to be removed. And the ECHR will not matter at that junction, because you can't take every case individually and go, well, sorry, you didn't like the chicken nuggets, off to Albania you go. It's like gay Muslims. But this is why I think it's such an opportunity for Britain is like, if we presented Britain as a place where you could escape Islam and come and embrace Christianity, and we said to those fleeing Islam, going, of course we don't want to marry children or our first cousins, and behave like Stone Age cavemen. Come here if you're skilled and talented, and we would love to have you, and we would love you to contribute to our Christian country. What a wonderful opportunity that was, but we don't do that yet. But I think we will. I have faith in Britain for the first time in a long time. Actually, I do have faith in Britain. Talk to me though, because I've been very ranty.
I mean, it's great. It's not that I don't have faith in Britain. I think I just don't see any solutions in what you're saying. And I love that you're optimistic and passionate about it, but I just don't see what you're seeing. What was it? A 12-year-old was raped the other day. A 10-year-old someone attempted to kidnap a 10-year-old. This is what these so-called migrants are doing, right? These illegals that shouldn't be in the country in the first place. It's monstrous, and they should all be gone. But the establishment don't seem to care, and the establishment's friends are making so much money. Every time they move to another set of hotels, someone else is getting paid off. It's like the elite are evil and wicked, and we can put the pressure on all we want through the odd street protest or...
It's not the odd street protest, it's coordinated.
You started off by saying it's not coordinated, but regardless, coordinated street protests, whatever, do as many as we like, they're still making money off them. They still don't care. Like, we don't have a mechanism by which to rid ourselves of the evil elite. They are the problem, and they will continue to be the problem, whether we put pressure on them through protests or not. It's more serious than that.
Okay, so you're saying that the problem is not the military-age migrant men being given free stuff.
They are a symptom of the problem. The problem is the evil elites that are importing them and making money off importing them.
So would your criticism therefore be that we don't have a solution as to how to deal with the elite? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Right. Okay. What would you do with the elite?
This is it. I don't have a solution. I don't see a solution.
But so do you not go, we live in a world where an elite will always exist. Like, it doesn't matter. We could be the elite tomorrow. Everyone go, oh, Laurence, Calvin, you were right. Be the elite. Here's some jugs of wine and some, sedan chairs to carry you around with. We could be the elite tomorrow. But actually, we have a very entrenched establishment in this country, and you're never going to change that, ever. And the only
it has been done before.
When?
Oliver Cromwell.
Yeah. And what
Guy Fawkes attempted it. There are methods of changing the elite, but they are radical.
What happened to Guy Fawkes?
What happened to him? He got caught.
Yeah. How?
Through a leak.
Yeah. Don't turn up to Parliament that day. What happened to the great protector, Oliver Cromwell?
He got the same service that happened to him. I'm not a fan of Cromwell. I'm just saying it has been done. It can be done.
We have consistently. I liked your point. I was listening to our episode last night because I now like to listen back. I never like to listen back to conversations because I like them to be organic. But I was listening back to ours, and I thought your points on absolute monarchy were really good, actually. And I think that's really good.
A good benevolent king is far better than any other system we have.
But you're not here, so you don't see it. And you're right to pull me up on the idea that I said it wasn't coordinated. But what I meant was spiritually coordinated. Mums, not Tommy Robinson or some sort of UKIP or some political organization, but just mums. And there's this woman who's been tweeting a lot, going like, we're not going to put up with this Islamophobia and crap. And I'm like, it's not Islamophobic, babe. We don't like the way you cry bully us. We don't like being accused of stuff we're not doing. Well, we have to tolerate your caveman behavior. We don't like it. And I sense that it's now become, what woke transgenderism is dying. Yeah, it's dying. Would we agree on that point?
I hope so. Yeah.
Would you agree that it's dying?
I hope it's dying. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I would say Islamophobia is dying as a terminology, as an allegation and accusation.
Yeah, because they're overusing it.
It's like, I'd say it's dead. It's like, more and more people can just turn around and go, it's not Islam phobia. It's like, I don't like what you do to our children.
Yeah.
And if you're not coming into our country to net contribute to our society and the spiritual well-being of our country, then fucking leave.
Right, and the Prime Minister can't keep saying we're going to eradicate Islamophobia. If Islamophobia, by the technical definition, is an irrational fear of Islam, you can't outlaw. First of all, it shouldn't medicalized in the first place. You can't outlaw a condition, right? You can't say we're eradicating arachnophobia. We will have no more of this fear of spiders. Well, we'll have no more of this fear of Islam either. No, people are afraid of Islam for a reason. People despise Islam for a reason.
How can you outlaw an irrational fear of something?
Right.
It's like, this is what I'm saying. It's a sign of the weakest regime ever.
It's like that leak that we saw that Sir Keir Starmer wanted to work with the big tech companies to eradicate the talk around a two-tier system. That is commie. That is really, really communist. It doesn't want the conversations being had.
Well, tough, because they are being had, and there's fuck all they can do about it.
And the mums are doing good. We saw them in Mansfield Town, but also Nick Tanconi of UKIP is doing good at coordinating this stuff. He's doing a lot, and so did Britain First, to give them credit. They had a good protest in Manchester. So maybe it will take both.
It's not a political problem, as I quite often say.
It's cultural, and politics is downstream of culture.
Well, yeah, but no, politics is interested in other stuff. It's not really like, politics is saying the right thing at the right time. I have good comms with the Tory party, and I have good comms with other people. Well, I'm not interested in the Conservative Party. I'm not like, way Conservative
Party. But you keep tweeting out things like, oh, the Conservatives are the only ones to... I'm like,
they are.
How are you?
There is no...
You've seen the same thing that I'm seeing. They are literally the problem. They need to go.
Look at what... Okay, well then what do we replace it with? A bunch of tribes, which is what you're suggesting. A bunch of tribes with an absolute monarch. That's an option. I agree with you. All I'm saying is, the minute you give someone an insurgent tack, Farage, what he does is he goes centre-left. He's a Blairite Cameronite. That's what he is. He's not, this guy's not going to offer hope to this country. I would vote for Kemi Badenoch over Nigel Farage every day of the week, all week.
In my eyes, it would be exactly the same thing.
That's not because I like Kemi Badenoch particularly. It's because there's only one vehicle which is political that can deal with the Labour Party and socialism.
The outcome would be exactly the same, in my opinion.
Maybe. I don't like the Conservatives. They don't like me. They don't like me. So it's not like I'm shilling for the Conservatives. They hate me, actually, but they can see the fact that I weather vane it a bit to say, and I've said to them, why don't you go and spend some time with the mothers who were organising the protest about the migrant hotel, seeing as you've got Robert Jenrick who's walking around, swinging his dick around, talking about how to deal with it. It's like, I don't want Nick Tenconi running the country in the same way as Jeremy Hosking turned around when I did the mayoral and said, no one wants you running the tubes, Loz. It's like, we are not there to lead. We're not there to do that sort of leadership.
Break it down, to destroy the system.
Well, then that makes us woke.
You have to destroy it before we can rebuild it.
Well, then
the system
woke.
as it is not good.
Well, then we're woke, because that's what they want to do.
Sure, call it whatever you like. I don't really care. The system is corrupt.
I do care about. So it's very difficult to defend oneself against the allegation in this country of like Britain was a nation built by immigrants. Of course it was. No, hang on. Just let me finish my fucking argument.
This is going to be one of those episodes.
We all come from the Great Rift Valley. So we're all immigrants, right? There you go. According to Darwin, we're all immigrants and we all turn up from the Great Rift Valley. But you know what the person who built St. Paul's Cathedral did? He wasn't from the Great Rift Valley. He was English. And he understood Greco-Romano architecture so beautifully that he could make this incredible rotunda and this dome. And that's English. It's stolen from other cultures in some way and made English. In the same way as Regency architecture, no Afghan migrant has anything in common with St. Paul's Cathedral, in my view. So this whole stupid Otto English idea that it's like, we're all immigrants, or blah, 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 we're all immigrants. I'm like, yeah, fine. You go and do your land apology. I like St. Paul's Cathedral, and I like my local church that was built in Norman times, probably by French people, blah. But the point is, it's the collective of history that we drag along with us. Your values, the Christian values that made this country, that don't matter. Nothing else.
And that's what made St. Paul's great. It was a Christian cathedral. It was the mother church of England. Now it's no longer Christian. It's no longer great. This is the problem with the country as a whole. The thing that made Britain great was our faith, our values, the things that we shared in common and believed. Our culture, our heritage, our ethnicity, our nationality, all of it together. And start pecking those things away, and it loses its flavor. And so we've got to put them back. And so we've got to look at who or what is destroying those things. Well, again, the mass immigration, mass invasion of people of different ideologies that are contradictory to ours, yes, part of the problem. But who is orchestrating that problem? The establishment, the elite, the metropolitan liberal elite, the politicians. And I'm friends with some of them as you are, some of the same people you've mentioned, but they are not the solution. Unfortunately, they are the problem.
But I don't think we're disagreeing then, are we? Because I'm saying that the solution is not going to come out of them, but they're never going to go away. So you're never going to go away from a bunch of people who love being powerful, ever. There's always going to be that constituency of people who want to be powerful and represent, Chemis and Robert Jenricks and all that sort of stuff. I just go, it's a peasants' revolt. And what's happening in the UK is a peasants' revolt. It's taking place already in front of our eyes. And we should encourage and support every single person out there who watches us to go to any migrant hotel protest and make your voice heard. You not intimidate, but so that you let the police know peacefully that these people are not welcome on freebies in a country where you don't get the winter fuel allowance if you're a certain age, and they're raising their retirement age, and you're about to enter a period where the public sector pension is going to completely fall apart. So there's going to be no public sector pension for anyone of our generation. And no politician will tell you that, but there is. The socialist experiment finishes the day we become an Islamic caliphate. And until people realize that these things are working together, we're screwed. So I would always go, good for you. Get out there.
Yeah.
Why are you giving these people free money? Why should they have free money? Get out. Leave.
I'm very supportive of the protests. Absolutely. But my question still remains, what next is the issue? I don't think the protests are the solution. I don't think they're going to solve it.
They're not the solution.
Okay.
They're the beginning of the revolt.
Cool.
So if we imagine that because everyone's so woke nowadays, that they can't kill people. It's like, I couldn't kill someone unless it's a machete attack. Who kills someone and gets
I don't know. I think the woke probably could. They could kill us. They could kill them, right?
They want to kill us, but we don't want to kill them, right?
No.
So what you have to do is you have to create an environment of deterrence, of uncomfortableness, of saying to people, you're not welcome to bring a set of isolationist conquering values into a country which is fragile. So instead of battles involving guns, as you said, we don't have any. Instead of battles involving guns and wars and set battlefields, what you have is cultural battles, cultural wars that are taking place. And the Battle of Epping was the first one. The Battle of Southport actually was, I think this is how history will look at all this stuff. It will go the Battle of Southport, where the government won because they just locked up anyone who disagreed with them. Then you've got the Battle of Epping. And now you're getting the Battle of Canary Wharf. And you're going to get a series of battles and battles and battles where it becomes impractical to try and fob off to the hardworking taxpayers, of which I just paid a tax bill. And I said this last week, 1 in 4 of those pounds is going to go to either a benefit claimant or a migrant. And you're going to get the battle, in the end, you'll get the battle for Britain. Because the demographic change problem has never been seen. So there are no predicting factors of this other than to say that Britain is going to be it is already unrecognizable, but it's going to become unrecognizable to your average person in short order. And we should encourage people to hold on to the very thing that they were given by their parents, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah, or no, or am I just ranting?
No, we absolutely should encourage people to hold on to that tradition. We don't want it to become an empty shell like St. Paul's. We want it to be full of goodness, truth, and beauty. That's what we want for our country.
Okay, we're going to change topics because I sense that you and I might have a falling out for the first time in a long time. I don't want to fall out with you, Calv. Friends are hard to get. Okay. Oh, I got a good one for you.
Oh, yeah?
Jesus Christ.
Here's a good one.
Superstar.
The demon playing Jesus. That was dark, wasn't it?
I don't know. I'm not going to offer my view until you've offered yours.
What's her name? Cynthia
Erivo.
Now, I'm sure Cynthia Erivo is a lovely person. I'm sure she is. However, she is incorrectly cast to play Jesus Christ.
Why? It's just first question.
Yeah.
How do you know that Jesus wasn't a black woman?
Because I have a good book right here that tells me who he was. Who he is. Jesus Christ is a man. And all the pictures of Jesus Christ going all the way back show that he's probably quite a light-skinned man, actually. I won't use the word white because people will jump down my throat, but the area of the world that he's from is not black, certainly not African. And so to have Cynthia playing him, she's the wrong gender, she's the wrong race. That's the least important to all this. She looks like a Hollywood depiction of a demon, right? So it's the gaunt body, like overly, like she's clearly got eating disorders. But I'm not putting that down. I'm saying clearly, aesthetically, it doesn't look healthy. Hunched over with the golem-shaped head, the long claws that come out. And this sounds like I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just describing what I see. None of it screams holy. None of it screams wholesome. None of it screams Jesus Christ. It screams like this is how Hollywood has depicted demons for the last, forever. She literally looks like Nosferatu. Hollywood is about. If you're creating whether it's on stage or on screen, the aesthetics count. It matters. These things matter. And so you're putting across someone who looks like a demon to play our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That sends a message. What message are they trying to send?
Have you ever watched the first film of Jesus Christ Superstar?
No, I haven't.
It's kind of similar. He's played by a black guy. So I don't have a problem with the skin color. I do have a problem with the gender.
Of course you don't.
I do have a problem with, if you read Jesus Christ Superstar is one of my favorite ever musicals. So I know it really, really well. And there's some really terrible lines in it, but Tim Rice is a wonderful, wonderful man. But there are some terrible lines in it, like, always hoped that I'd be an apostle. Knew that I would make it if I tried. Then when we retire, we can write the Gospels and we'll all talk about us when we've died. They'll all talk about us. Like, it's a very saccharine musical, right? So I don't really care who plays the part. It doesn't bother me. What does bother me is that anyone would ever think that Jesus Christ Superstar was in any way a reflection of Jesus Christ at all. It's like, it's a musical.
They don't use his name in vain, is what I would say.
Right. So there's an argument in there, yeah, to say it. But I
That's
think
blasphemous.
I thought Adam Lambert is his name. I think the guy that played Judas. Judas is a really, really, really difficult part. Who was the guy that played the original Judas? He played Marius or Enjolras in Les Mis. Like, he was the go-to guy. He had this huge range in his voice, and it was a Freddie Mercury style range. So I'm okay with Adam Lambert playing Judas as well. You know, I've got no beef. I think this may be a sort of slightly overreaction from our side of going like, yeah, well, it's a musical. Yeah, it's not really about Jesus. It's a story about it's
not really about Jesus.
No, it's not really about Jesus. You know, the stories of Jesus are so much more interesting than that. You know, the fig on the vine and like all of the stuff about in the Bible, which really breaks you as something you spend time with. It's just a musical. I agree.
Think, don't normalize creating demonic depictions of Jesus Christ,
but
even for a musical.
Then ban Hollywood, because that's all Hollywood
that'd be
does.
good. Actually, that'd be great.
But then
Hollywood
what would you replace it with? So I'll put the answer back onto you. So what are you going to replace Hollywood with?
Good art. Art used to be good.
Good art.
Okay, so think about the best written art ever. We're talking about the Book of Common Prayer. We're talking about Shakespeare. We're talking about good created works. We're talking about the best painted art ever. We're talking about the Renaissance of patrons founding artists to create depictions of heavenly scenes, of saints and biblical stories. And fast forward to today, we've got a hunched over demon-looking woman trying to pretend to be Jesus Christ in this story that's apparently not even about Jesus Christ, that's named after him. Like, come on, we've come a long way from creating good art.
I agree. I thought her cross was crap. Like, just as just on a purely like stagecraft level, this like the idea that she was just hanging over a bamboo stick. The point of the Jesus story, if you're going to invoke the Jesus story, was he was forced to take his own tool of execution to Golgotha. Was it Golgotha? Is that right? Yeah.
The skull.
To be murdered, right?
Yeah.
And the ultimate humiliation was that. In this version, she's got like some bamboo cane and she's kind of wobbling around on it. I'm just like, this is pathetic. But I think this the implementation of the music, what was written by Andrew Lloyd Webber lyrically, and the lyrics of Tim Rice was actually quite well delivered. I don't think it was.
I mean, Andrew Lloyd Webber's a Christian, isn't he?
I don't know.
Yeah, I goes to an Anglo-Catholic church in London.
He's definitely not a wokeist, that's for sure. But yeah, I agree with you that putting forward these sort of demonic faces to be Jesus. But then, you know,
the point of art is to be transcendental. It's to take us out of ourselves. It's the point of all beauty is to remind us that there's something bigger and more powerful and more important than us. All of it is supposed to point towards God. And that's why I have a massive problem with anything that's contemporary art, because it's all about, what do I see? What's the message it's trying to tell me? What do I interpret? It's not even about you. It shouldn't be about you. And that's why it's always so ugly, modern art, because it's not even art.
But art's always about you. So,
no,
you know,
that's my whole point. It should be transcendental. It takes you out of yourself to the whole point is to remind us of him. And that's why we've fallen so far away to having a banana that's taped on a wall versus Botticelli, for goodness sake.
Okay, but Michelangelo's David, yeah, has a deliberately bigger hand on one side because of the perspective that the person would view it from.
Yes.
The hand would seem a normal size.
Yes.
So I agree with you.
That's clever.
Yeah, it is clever. So there is an argument to say it's kind of clever to make a black Jesus woman, lesbian, queer person. I don't agree with the argument. I'm just trying to say that, you know, art has its own
But it should be the point I'm making is it should be beautiful first and foremost. If it's not beautiful, then it's not art.
But we live in a society where the most beautiful thing celebrated is black queer women.
Well, it can be celebrated, but it doesn't make it beautiful, does it?
No, I mean, but I don't really have an issue with. I do have an issue with Jesus being a woman because it's like, blah. But and Jesus wasn't a woman. But I also go, well, it's a musical written in the 70s by Andrew Lloyd Webber. So, he goes, shush, doggies. Can you hear them?
Yeah.
Very mental. Blaze.
All of the wedding speeches were about the dogs. I found that hilarious as well.
All of the what?
All the wedding speeches were about the dogs.
I know, there's a lot of them. All right, okay. I think that's interesting to be able to... Blaze! Snickers, Maggie, shush, please.
Oh, don't shout at Blaze.
What's that?
Don't shout at Blaze.
I will never shout Blaze. He's like the 1 in a million dog.
Yeah.
Okay, so Arrivo says, this role is personal. Really? I mean, it is. A relationship with Christ is personal, isn't it?
Yeah, in a way.
So can't really knock her for saying that. And Lambert, he's got a voice. That guy's got a voice. This is where I start to lose my shit. We need new interpretations of the Bible.
Do we know? That's interesting. Who said that?
Adam Lambert.
Is he the one who plays Judas?
Yeah.
Wow, providential.
What's so fine to explain? I mean, I know I used to listen to this stuff when I was at boarding school, but like on repeat.
Really?
Paul Nichols' original Palace Theatre, which is now just playing, Harry Potter unending.
But that just shows there's a subvertive kind of angle to all of this, isn't there? For them to be saying, one of the stars to be saying, look, well, we need new interpretations of the Bible. We don't need new interpretations of the Bible. The church.
This is why you get cancelled. Like we talked about this last week. It's like, they've got the pale blue shirted vicar on GB News because they're sort of slightly kind of feeding down the line the idea that a sort of softy, lefty, kind of wokist vicar is fine, but they're dog whistling to their support base, which is like, we need a strong, authoritative, literalist Christian message, and which you provided. And now they just go, well, we need new interpretations of the Bible, ones that are very inclusive. Fuck that shit. Sorry to be rude, but that's what I think. The Bible's either the Bible or it's not the Bible.
Yeah.
It doesn't need rereading. Otherwise, you can reread the Quran and go, oh, they didn't mean kill the Jews behind the rocks. That's not what they meant. They meant something different. So Lambert says that critics say it's woke sacrilege, a deliberate inversion of the Christian truth, which I think we probably both agree on.
Mm.
Yeah?
Yeah. There's an inversion happening.
Okay, I want to do a segue.
Okay.
And you haven't seen this, but I encourage people to see this. Laura Delano, right, let's play the trailer actually, so Calv can at least know what we're about to talk about.
If you're being told, you have a chemical imbalance, Tucker, here's some Prozac, it's going to help adjust the chemicals, that's a lie.
If something's in imbalance, what's balance? Is there any science behind that at all?
No. It has never been proven. Most people believe that mental illness, that depression, all these things are caused by chemical imbalances.
66 million Americans total on these drugs.
According to the CDC in 2022, so those numbers could well be higher.
That's craziness.
There's this condition called PSSD, post-SSRI sexual dysfunction.
Oh, come on.
There's a whole movement. They're incredibly well organized on X, doing really important public awareness work around how many people either never regain sexual function when they come off.
What?
Some people haven't regained it for years. And
so they're just dead.
Yep.
Okay. Really? And no one's gone to jail for this?
As a segue, there's been a lot of controversy, I would say, around Tucker Carlson's recent, statements about lots of things, and I don't know where I stand with a lot of it. But a month ago, he platformed someone called Laura Delano, who is a recoverer, who is in recovery from big pharma, antidepressants, and all of that sort of stuff. And I'm fascinated by the idea that I have an instinctive, unscientific view that filling people with drugs is going to do a bad thing for them, both personally and sexually, and she mentions that in the trailer. But ultimately, a reliance on the state, and it goes back towards COVID and all that sort of stuff, to like save you is an absolutely terrible thing. What do you think about that? Do you believe in mental illness at all?
Well, what is a human being, right? So we're a body, a soul, and a spirit, right? Or people might describe it as mind, body, soul, right? So we are not a thing in a body. We are a body, but we're also bigger than just a body. We are a soul. We don't have a soul. We don't have a body. We are a body. We are a soul. That's important. And so all these elements of us, they need our attention. All these parts of us need looking after. So just as we have to stay physically fit if we want to survive for a longer time, we have to stay spiritually fit too. We have to. I said this on the podcast before. Like those days you don't feel like going to the gym, those are the days when you need to go to the gym. Likewise, those days you don't feel like praying, those are the days you need to pray. And so we've disconnected from all of that and just think we don't need to go to the gym. We can just take what's it called?
SSRIs.
GLP-1s. What's that thing that all the politicians are taking?
Well, the fat thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Monjaro and what's the other one called? The hardcore one. I can't remember.
I can't remember it. Everyone's going to be yelling at us right now. Anyway, you don't have to work out. You just take that, right? You don't have to pray. You just take a psychedelic or a depressive.
Oh, don't drag psychedelics into this.
I will do.
Why?
Right? The idea that we can have shortcuts because we don't want to put the work in. That's what big pharma is all about. But
psychedelics aren't big pharma. Like
no, I know they're not. But that's psychedelics are a problem too.
That's not big pharma.
Psychedelics are a problem too.
Well, okay, let's stick to the simple. I love this. We're really
big pharma is a problem because they're making money out of you being sick.
Well this week. I like it.
Big pharma want us to remain sick so they can continue selling us drugs to make us feel better, right?
But also not remain sick, but make us more sick.
Yeah, both. Absolutely.
What I would say.
The number of big pharma companies that have interests in products and services that make you ill, then also sell products and services that apparently cure or help make that illness better is absurd. It should be illegal. But they're too big.
I think they should be illegal, and I think that she talks very much about psychiatrists in the thing, and I strongly recommend people watch the
and I've said it before, like,
interview.
People used to go to confession to get that weight off, right? Because we are born with a conscience, we're born with the knowledge of God and His law on our heart, and when we break that, when we sin, that affects us. It makes a mark on our soul. We used to go to confession to be cleansed of that. And now we don't go to confession because we're not Christians anymore as a society. We're using the big royal we. But so we go to therapy, and the therapist sits around making money off us, continuing to feel poor about ourselves. I've seen some of these vox pops where you ask a therapist, how many people have you cured?
Yeah.
Right? It's not about a cure.
No.
It's a shame. The whole thing's a scam, whether it's therapy or big pharma, unfortunately. And not to say that none of these drugs can work, but that's not the vested interests.
I don't think they can. They do work. And
you have to be careful. Like something like paracetamol can take your pain away. So there are things that can help in these drugs, but the industry isn't centered around helping.
Putting onions in your socks takes away toxins and fever. So, but people will laugh at you if you said that to them. I think big pharma is the next edifice that's looking like it might fall. I think the Maha movement, I think RFK's stuff is important in what's happening. I have first-hand experience of what big pharma can do to a life, and it's unbelievably brutal and disgusting and vile. And she posits the view similar to what you're saying, which is, she doesn't make it spiritual on a Christian sense, but she says, allow someone to suffer in front of you. That's the best gift you can give them, and don't judge them for doing so. I think that's a really important thing. And I think to anyone who is suffering, the answer is not a ton of pills. There are times when pills are really helpful. I've got a broken neck, which is recovering very, 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 very slowly, and I do take pills when it's really painful. I do.
Right.
So I'm not a complete big pharma hater. I'm just saying that I think big pharma is next in the firing line. I do. I think it's like
I really like what you said about finding someone who you can suffer in front of. That's love. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It goes back to what we say. We always say, like, the modern world wants to avoid suffering, but actually the Christian message is to embrace the suffering, try and find the joy in the suffering. And that's a hard message. And just remind each other that Jesus Christ suffered for us and he suffers with us and he can take our suffering from us, and to trust in him. And that's important. But to relate it on a human level rather than on a spiritual level, I often think I'm doing fine, right? I'm a stoic, so I just go through life, hit me with a cancellation or something, keep on going. But then I stop and I have a chat with my mum, and that barrier isn't there with my mum as it is with the rest of the world. And so then I realized, okay, maybe I wasn't doing as well as I thought, because it all comes out, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to have someone like that. You have to have people like that in your life that love you, that see you for who you are. And the best thing you can have is if you have that relationship with God too, where you can have those conversations where there's no barrier there. And so he sees all, you give him all. And that's the hardest thing that we all strive towards, having that really, because it's easy to sit there and pray that Our Father, right? But it's far harder to let down that wall we build around our hearts, to let him in.
Yeah, and the shame idea of the nakedness in Genesis is kind of that, isn't it? It's like God sees it anyway, but you're trying to hide the thing that you were given by God in the first place. Like, just to your average lay person, that must be at least something that one would think about, to turn around and say, God sees it anyway. So, you can try and hide it from him all you want, but it's an unsuccessful, pointless venture.
And I love it because I'm very blessed to have a very loving mother. Not everyone is, but we all have a very loving father in our Father. And so he's there for all of us to open up to.
We don't all have Dennis, man.
That is true. Not everyone has Dennis. Lots of people have Dennis. He's open to everyone. Everyone can go and have a chat with Dennis. He's very good at helping people through.
We need to get Dennis on Fox and Father for a.
He's coming out to stay, so maybe when he's here, I'll let him.
Can we get him to do a Fox and Father with us?
Not a whole episode. No. No one needs to hear his opinions on everything. But
I like Dennis.
We can get a quick cameo.
I like Dennis.
I love my father. We disagree very strongly on politics, but not that I disagree with him.
Is Dennis a lefty?
My dad's a socialist, yeah, but I don't ever disagree.
Well, he's from Mansfield, so it's fine.
But I don't disagree with him because he's my father. I respect him as my father. So he doesn't necessarily know that I disagree. But when he's ranting, I will keep my opinions to myself. But for the same reason, I don't want him to come on here and talk about things.
You're blushing. I can see on the thing that you're blushing slightly. Right. Okay. I want to move on to, okay, we got to do this. Sorry to bore you. We can skate over this one fast. Also, we're like rabbiting away. Reformed UK Tsar says access trans prisoners individually. Do we say Reform Party in the United Kingdom? Have you heard of them? It's the party run by...
This is when they said...
Nigel
This is when Farage was asked, should men be allowed in women's prisons? And he starts off by saying,
I'll leave it to my person.
Right. He's like, I'm not a prison expert. And what politicians do is they speak on matters they're not familiar with. I think this will be a safeguarding risk. Don't you? A risk assessment, don't you? Like, well, then why say I'm not expert and then have an opinion on it anyway? And secondly, your opinion is horrible. It's a horrible opinion. No, it's not a risk assessment. No, men should not be allowed in women's prisons.
I cannot believe that and I'm sure this is all polling, by the way. So I'm sure that all the money that Reform are getting sent by the idiots who support Reform, sorry guys, I love you dearly, but I have been saying for years, it's just a Ponzi scheme to fill up Farage and other people's pockets. It's got nothing to do with politics or making your life better. But I'm sure it's all based on polling. So they've gone like, there's still a huge portion of the population who are like, oh, you've got to be nice to the trans people. I'm like, I agree. Be nice to the trans people, but don't legislate like simple empirical biology just because Jonathan fucking Willoughby thinks that he's a bird. It's like ridiculously bad politics.
Oh, you're going to take some stick for that. That Jonathan is obsessive.
I don't care. It's like George Floyd. It's like choose the better martyr. Seriously. It's like, if you wanted to tell me that systemic racism against black people was so endemic and so terrible, then pick a better martyr. Pick me. And there was a kid, and I can't even remember his name, which says it even worse, who was 12 years old, and a young 12 years old at that, who was shot in the head by a policeman. And no one ever mentions this kid. And it's like, it's all about George Floyd. It's like, pick a better martyr. I don't want Jonathan Willoughby. If, you know, I was talking to Lizzie about this the other day. I was like, if I saw Jonathan Willoughby walking into a loo next to you, I would drag that bastard out. Not because he's not because he doesn't think he's a bird, but because he's so aggressive. Now, we move on finally to some wonderful news, which is that Mohammed Hijab has lost his defamation case against Douglas Murray and The Spectator after being falsely accused of hate. Hijab made inflammatory remarks about Hindus. Surprise, surprise. Court rules that criticism does not equal hate speech, Calvin.
Is this a British court?
Yes, it is. Major win for truth, reason, and courage,
That's
they
great.
say. But I mean, I don't like the use of the word hate speech full stop, but I'm very pleased that Mohammed Hijab, who's a very, very nasty piece of work as an individual, has been screwed. And I hope that the 5 pillars, or whoever pays for him, the Muslim vote, or whoever it is, really suffer for that. And now we must move on to questions. Why do people like hijab get a free pass while Christians get cancelled from Defend the Faith? Calvin.
Because this is a spiritual war, and there is only one truth. His name is Jesus Christ. And it's Satan hates the truth because Satan hates Jesus Christ. And so all of Satan's ideologies, whether it's Islam or the LGBTQ lobby, you know, wokeism, liberalism, whatever, Marxism, any of Satan's tools get a free pass from Satan's minions. And the truth is always attacked. This is why people often trot that line out. You know, they'd do that to Jesus, but they wouldn't do that to Muhammad, would they? No, because Muhammad isn't true. Jesus is true. That's why Jesus gets attacked. That's why Christians get attacked, because Christianity is the truth.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think that kind of almost answers the second question, but you can elaborate on it if you want. Can we build a moral society if we're afraid to say what's true from liberty or lie?
No. We need freedom of expression. We need free speech, and not in an absolutist methodology, but in a Christian methodology. We need the freedom to proclaim the gospel. And I saw Pastor Dia, is it Moodley or Modley, got arrested again, or not arrested, but got warned by the police. This poor guy, Pastor Dia, is great. He's always out there evangelizing. He had all these wild Mohammedans around him, and they start attacking him because he's holding up his Quran, making a point about Jesus. And something that the Quran says about him, I think. But he was talking about Jesus Christ, and he was holding up a Quran, and it's his book. And they try to snatch it from him, then they try to push him around, and he ends up on the floor. And he just starts singing hymns. I'm like, this is
Hymns, it's better.
I think it's fun. But then the police have a word with him. Of course they do, because it's just these 2 young lasses, bless them. They're not real policemen. Of course they're not. Because they can't address these wild Mohammed. There's nothing they could do. They get stamped in the face. We've seen it. We've seen the footage. And so what do they do? Do they go after the wild Mohammedans? No, they go after this poor Christian pastor who's been pushed around, bullied around, and tell him to go away.
Segue. That just points me into a segue, I'm afraid.
Cool.
So, Active Patriot, who's obviously a far-right extremist, ISIS soldiers are in hotels ready for a nationwide attack. UK infant and primary schools are the target. So far, so true. They're going to behead our kids. I've received information from the Pakistani community in Dewsbury that can speak Afghanistani. It's common knowledge in their community that some people staying in asylum hotels in HMOs are ISIS and talk on the street amongst themselves. They're ready to strike and waiting for the nod from higher up. The first thing they're planning is an attack on our infant and primary schools, beheading our kids. They want a shock tactic to bring massacre and wage war on our country. The government have been planning emergency responses at schools across the country and updated their schools and college security guidelines in July last year. Do you think that members of ISIS, we've seen many, many pictures of people doing that sign from hotel rooms. So we've seen many. There's a lot of anecdotal and circumstantial evidence that there are people here who are here to do us harm. Do you think it's in any way plausible that there is a cohort of radical Islamists who are ready to commit murder in Britain?
Yeah, I don't trust that source. However, I do believe that is the case. As in, I don't know if this has been told to people that this has been planned and orchestrated, but I do certainly believe that lots of the people who are in our country legally and in these hotels, these military-age men, followers of Muhammad, of course, I believe they have a plan. They have ideas that to harm us. They are against us. They hate us, and they want to have dominion over our land. Of course, that's obvious. But will something happen? Will it happen soon? And what will it be? I don't know. But it's quite terrifying that it could happen. But again, this whole thing, maybe it does need to end up in maybe not just a civil war, but a sectarian war. The government do not care. In fact, I did the latest Prevent training this week, just because I wanted to verify these screenshots.
I saw your Prevent training.
Yeah, I did the government's Prevent training.
Can I give you a quick stat?
Yeah.
So the government have spent £15 million upgrading security and security protocols should such an attack similar happen in schools. They spent £15 million. But on August the 4th, 2024, Yvette Cooper announced £30 million to improve mosque security against far extremists. So that goes to show what the Labour Party think of British children.
They don't want to protect us from the Mohammedans. They want to protect the Mohammedans.
They're exactly the value, the one drop rule in America. The British children are worth exactly half the value of the life of a building in the United Kingdom that lives in worship of everything that will bring down our entire country.
Yeah. The training I did said that extreme right-wing terrorism is cultural nationalism, which is Western culture, in scare brackets, is under threat from mass migration and a lack of integration by certain ethnic and cultural groups. That I would believe to be a fact, that Western culture is under threat from mass immigration and a lack of integration of certain ethnic and cultural groups.
Do you not take that as a sign of great strength, though, towards my earlier point, that if you have to try and tell people that the evidence before the last and most important command was to ignore the evidence of your eyes and ears, but don't you think it's a sign that the regime is about to fall over?
I hope so. I don't know about that. I just know that the regime is not on our side and in fact sees us as extreme right-wing terrorists. It's absurd. Whoever put this together is an enemy of the British people.
Yeah, well, every single institution in this country is an enemy of the British people, including the Metropolitan Police and the Labour Party and the government and politics in general, organised establishment politics in general. Okay, any finishing thoughts?
No, but I do have a finishing prayer, because today is as we record, is...
I've got a finishing thought.
Oh, go on, sorry.
You could have asked me if I had one.
I wasn't going to ask, but you volunteered it. So.
I quite like the fact that we had a little row this week.
I forgot to ask you about Epstein last week. We haven't got time this week, so next week let's have a little chat about Epstein as well.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Because people are going to think we're dodging the subject, or we're not dodging the subject. We literally just haven't had time.
I know, but also I'm really working hard to be a Zionist shill. I've got
that is true. Stop taking money from Israel.
I've come to. I mean, can I get my Benjamin? I need a check.
I love every now and then someone calls me a Zionist shill. I'm like, do you actually read the content I put out?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't think you're a Zionist shill, Calvin. I'm not going to lie. In fact, quite the opposite.
I just notice things every now and then, and for that I get called names. It's absurd. Anyway,
you're just like Eugene. One of the funniest things to me said, Eugene was. I was showing the wedding video, and he went, "I didn't realize Calvin was such a rude boy." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "It's hilarious."
Anyway,
pray us out, rude boy.
Yeah, so today is the memorial of St. Oswald, who, of course, was the king of Northumbria. And he was one that united Northumbria. This actually ties in with what Laurence was saying about Mercia, too, our Christian roots, because in St. Bede's History of the English, which is something everyone should read because it's kind of like a library of our nation, he talks about these times. And people loved St. Oswald because you could walk from one end of the kingdom to the other end with gold and not be robbed. But likewise, a woman could walk with a baby, or a pregnant woman could walk one end of the other end to the other end without being molested. Not something you can say about our country today. And that's a great shame, but it's something we need to aim back towards. St. Oswald is a saint because, not just because of his martyrdom, but because when he was king, he got a bishop over from Ireland to help Christianize Northumbria. And this is, of course, 300 years before.
How was he martyred?
This is... why are you interrupting?
All right, sorry. Sorry, I just get excited. It's a big saint day today.
It's a good saint. This is 300 years before England was a country, so that we still had these independent territories. And so he was Christianizing Northumbria before there was a Christian England, which I find fascinating. But he got a bishop over from Ireland who couldn't speak English very well. And as the king, he acted as his interpreter, which I find amazing. But once sitting around at the dinner table, one of the ministers or one of the elite of the day, who King Oswald had put in to make sure that the poor were looked after, came in and said, there's some poor gathering outside begging for mercy from the king. And the king gave the meal that was right in front of him. You know, obviously, probably had a kingly feast, right? Him and the bishops or whatever. And he gave that to the minister to take out to feed the poor there and then. And the bishop kissed the king's hand and said, may this hand always remain. And so once after King Oswald was buried, that hand and his arm, in fact, was incorrupt and remained incorrupt. I find that to be a true blessing.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. But he didn't die because he was murdered by a bunch of Mohammedans just off dinghies from
I can't remember how he was martyred.
Calais.
On the marshes at the battlefield of Mazafield in 642 AD, he was cut to pieces. So he was fighting against pagans.
Yeah, well, we all got to do that sometimes, don't we?
We do. We all do. So let's pray the collect of St. Oswald. Almighty and everlasting God, who by the martyrdom of blessed King Oswald hast hallowed this day with holy joy and gladness, grant unto our hearts the increase of thy charity, that we who honour his glorious battle for the faith may imitate his constancy even unto death. Through Jesus Christ, thy Son, our Lord, who liveth and reigneth with thee in the unity of the Holy Spirit, ever one God, world without end. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen, bro.
Well, I apologize if I've been adversarial today, but I think...
Well, you're just a very naughty boy. And but I can deal with it. I'm a grown up, so it's fine. You need to remind me, Lacey, can you remind me to buy some more slightly cheaper cigars than the ones I like? Because no, not Holiday, for Fox and Father. Oh yeah, but we need to, in Greece you can get those cigars super cheap. I'm gonna say we will Fox and Father from Greece, or we should. Yeah, we will. But that makes timings funny. I know, but it's fine because I'll just come back after lunch and do it. I look forward to Fox and Fathering you with the sound of crickets or cicadas.
Are you going to be on that veranda out the back?
I'm going to be on the veranda out the back, and Eugene is really gutted that you're not going to be
I'm
there.
gutted.
So, do you have his number, by the way? Because you should WhatsApp him. I'll send you his number because you need to WhatsApp him and tell him, because he's like, why is Calvin not coming? Why is no one coming? I'm like, it's like Calvin lives in America, and also, we kind of need a honeymoon. So it's all good. But
sometimes it sucks being so far away.
I know, but we love you anyway.
Yeah, it's really true.
So that's all that matters. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. I don't know if we still do the gold advert, but if we do, watch it. Otherwise, if you want to advertise some steak or something, do let us know.
I forgot to do a Fox and Father follows.
Oh, we got to do Fox and Father. Okay. Right.
Have I done Brett Murphy before?
Yeah.
Who's good to follow?
Leo Curse, I like.
He's
Charlotte
funny.
Gill.
You know what? I'm going to give it to Stelios. Stelios from the Lotus Eaters. His @ is, oh my gosh, PANAGIOTOU90ST. Stelios, you need a better handle.
Some people are terrible at it.
Well, he's a good guy to follow. He's on the money with a lot of stuff, but he always does it in a very polite way.
Okay. Well, I am going to say follow Polytunes. I think I've told you them before.
Oh, good old Mark.
Follow us at Reclaim the Media. Oh, here's a good one. I really like him, even though we're starting to disagree about stuff. Ola Olayemi, who's what's it called? Tag is CUNLE Kunle Olayemi.
Easy for you to say.
No, tell me about it. KUNLEOLAYEMI. I like Ola Olayemi. He's if he's real, and not I think he's real. I have no filter. I say it as I see it. I don't like victim culture, and I disdain race beta, including diehard liberals. Love the UK and Nigeria. Sounds like a real dude to me. Always helps me whenever I make a point of banding. Always sends me an absolutely corresponding video, and is a worthwhile and lovely follower.
Oh, we'll see if you'll send a video for the show then.
Yeah, maybe you could do that, Ola. We would be grateful. Love you, brother. Toodle pip, old bean.